difficult to understand, and it's certainly being mentioned in Israel, how the police seem completely overwhelmed and unprepared for that.
Now, the mayor of Amsterdam has condemned hit-and-run attacks on Israeli football supporters and banned demonstrations and masks in the city for the entire afternoon. The mayor, Femke Halsema, said the city is looking back at a black night and a dark day after men on scooters searched for and attacked Maccabi Tel Aviv football supporters. Here's a clip from today's press conference.
Amsterdam is looking back on a black night, and today it's still a dark day. Anti-Semitic, hateful rioters and criminals yesterday night have attacked Jewish visitors visiting our city. My heart goes out to the victims and to their families here and in Israel as well.
Now, the attacks come after a Europa League match between Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax. Joining me now is Fernand van Tetz, a journalist in Amsterdam. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Can you just take us through the timeline, perhaps, of what happened? Because there are obviously competing accounts of what happened first and what happened next.
Yeah, so this actually didn't start only yesterday, but already on Wednesday, it was a tense situation here in Amsterdam. There were reports of Maccabi supporters taking down a Palestine flag. A taxi driver was beaten up. A Maccabi supporter was thrown in the canal. So already there was a lot of unrest. And authorities here were prepared for there being unrest on Thursday. I mean, there was a very, very large police presence deployed on the streets, 800 men strong. And the Maccabi supporters were being shielded from others initially in the center of Amsterdam when they were protesting on Dam Square. And a rival protest that was supposed to take place, a pro-Palestinian protest, that by the mayor had been moved to 1 kilometer from the stadium to keep these parties apart. So some unrest was expected, but of course what happened was not expected at all. I spoke to some supporters who said there was an unusually heavy police presence who had been trying to pull apart groups of pro-Palestine protesters who were trying to approach the Maccabi supporters. Riot police actually escorted these fans back to the center of Amsterdam and then even to their hotels to keep them safe. But it seems that a number of people sadly were attacked by these hit and run attacks, as the mayor called them, by people on scooters who would do these hit and run attacks and then disperse, making it very hard to catch them. And yes, it was terrible. People were abused, verbally abused, they were kicked. And the scale of this is still a bit unknown. We know that 7 people were injured and brought to hospital. They've all been discharged, as we know for now. But tens of people were lightly wounded. And how many people this exactly has touched is still unclear. About 2,500 Maccabi fans have thought to have travelled to the Netherlands for this match. And the mayor in her press conference just now said, we're still piecing it together as events unfold. But a really grim night for Amsterdam.
And what are people saying about the football authorities? Because this was perhaps expected, as you said, there was a huge police presence. But this is people say football and politics, etc. International politics don't mix. But this is an Israeli football team. Unfortunately, you could say that there was always going to be some people trying to make trouble. Were the football authorities prepared, sufficiently prepared? Should they have done something different? What is the kind of dialogue around that?
So actually, it is the coordinator for terrorism. They should have made the assessment in terms of what kind of risk this event posed. And the mayor said that she spoke to them and they did not see a heightened risk of any event taking place. They've now responded and said they will respond to Parliament about this in a letter to Parliament later today. But yes, I mean, you could say it was expected. But again, they did try and prevent this from happening by doing this massive police deployment, including riot police. I mean, Amsterdam yesterday, I saw it myself, was full of police vans, people armed with sticks, really trying to keep these two parties apart as best they could. But it seems that as the night progressed, and especially after that match, they succeeded until just after the match. But then it seems to have all gone haywire.
Okay. Fernand, thank you very much for that. That is Fernand van Tetz, a journalist in Amsterdam. Let's speak now to Noga Tarnopolsky, journalist with the left-leaning Israeli newspaper Haaretz. Hi, Noga.
Hi, I am not employed by Haaretz and have never been employed by Haaretz.
Noga, apologies for that. Noga, you can give us the perspective in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu obviously very concerned about this. At one point, he said he would send 2 planes to evacuate Israeli citizens.
Yeah, I mean, at one point he said he would send 3 or 4. As far as I know, El Al has added 1 or 2 planes to its regularly scheduled flights from Amsterdam to Tel Aviv today. As you may know, no foreign airlines are flying into Israel now because an Iranian attack is still expected. So it could only be El Al. But the confusion is because the government went back and forth many times during the course of the morning about whether or not there would be flights.
And it doesn't seem to be happening now. Is that right?
No, I think El Al, I think the national carrier added 2 flights. I'm not sure. I think more significant might be the very kind of alarmist language that's being used by the Israeli officials to describe what happened, going so far as to call this another Kristallnacht or pogrom. The word pogrom is being used as if it's just a matter of fact, hearkening back to murderous, marauding massacres before the Second World War. And there is a sense that, what happened yesterday in Amsterdam, as the mayor herself said, is an embarrassment for Amsterdam and is very, very bad. But to compare it to mass murders in the Nazi era seems to me not helpful for any of us.
It was the mayor of Amsterdam who used those words as well, talked about an anti-Semitic pogrom.
And the king of the Netherlands apologized for having failed the Jews during the Holocaust and again last night, which it's hard to understand.
Noga, how does it work with Israeli sportsmen and women? This is a football team. We know that around football there can be violence, regardless of where the team comes from. Do people feel very protective towards this particular football team? Are there questions about whether things, perhaps, I don't know, match should have been played behind closed doors? There should have been more police presence. What is the kind of dialogue, discussion in Israel about this?
This is really a very unviolent and unremarkable football team. This is, Israel, like other countries, has some teams that are known for having much more violent ultras. Maccabi Tel Aviv is not one of them. And to the best of my knowledge, there is accusations of, football ultra type very bad behavior on behalf of the Maccabi fans, including racist chants at the stadium. But I haven't heard any claims that there was violence on their part. So I think, many teams, certainly also British teams, have ultras that have behaved badly, but I don't think that explains the eruption of violence that went unpoliced apparently for hours in central Amsterdam yesterday, and that had many, many foci. In other words, there were gangs located at the tram exits on many different stops throughout Amsterdam, waiting for the fans who were coming back into town from the stadium. And it is difficult to understand, and it's certainly being mentioned in Israel, how the police seem completely overwhelmed and unprepared for that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the many questions will be asked about this. Noga, thank you very much for that. That is Noga Tarnopolsky. She is a journalist in Israel. If we get any more update, because we have had that press conference, of course, from the mayor of Amsterdam earlier on this afternoon, in which she talked about an anti-Semitic pogrom. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also said that she was outraged by the vile attacks.